Better stay on call. Every few months I fly down to Mexico.
Gotta make sure that everything's straight. Gotta make sure that everything's straight.
Okay guys, we're back with another video. So today I'm going to be putting 3 different hemp wrap brands to the test, smoking them in this video, and then talking about them throughout. And then at the end, we're going to give it a kind of like the Doug score, but not the Doug score. I don't know. The weed score? The Metro Weed Man score? I don't know. I've smoked already. I'm pretty fucking blitzed. I'm going to get even more high, so let's get it. First contender is the Blue Raspberry Cherry Twisted Hemp Wrap. Hemp Wrap. Yeah. So this is what it looks like. It's green. I've yet to see another brand that has green hemp wraps. Now, you would expect it to be green or green tinted, greenish, because it's hemp, you know, derived from the weed plant. Everything about weed, for the most part, is green, right? So there's that. So these are marketed as being 4 wraps for $1, but I know here in Canada you'll never find that deal at a gas station. I don't think they even sell these at gas stations. I got these on Amazon. I'm going to let you guys know down below in the comments with the link, as well as how much I paid for them. I probably got fucking robbed. I know I did, because it should only come out to like $4 or $5, and I know I paid probably double that, plus delivery and all that. So I got fucked. But as far as it goes, we will be trying that. 4 for $1, honestly, dude, I really wouldn't have any complaints, even if they tasted like shit, because it's only $1. Then we're going to be looking at the terpene enhanced grape soda flavored juicy hemp wrap, which is the newest of their terpene enhanced lineup, I believe. Which so far, the one that I've smoked, I've actually really liked. And then the one that I've probably done one of my favorites to date, the high tea leaf grape flavored blunt hemp wrap. I don't consider hemp wraps to be blunts because you can pack them fat, but you can't pack them fat like a Backwoods Phillies or a Century. I don't know that people go out and buy Century Sams at all, dude. My first blunt, other than a Backwoods, dude, was a fucking Phillies. Like, I remember being in my room with my boy from Montreal. Jenna, if you're watching this, I love you. And I rolled this Phillies, dude, and we were just so fucking high. But we were both so fucking impressed by just how well it turned out. I think, like, if I had the ability to, I would have sucked my own dick for how happy I was that fucking impressed. Anyways, that was kind of sus. But you guys get my point. Let's go and spark up this. I'm going to call it a blunt just because why not? This is the Blue Raspberry Cherry flavor, if I haven't already mentioned. The smell that this gives off when you spark it, I've yet to smell anything better than that. And I really like the grape soda flavored juicy hemp wrap. Trust me, tastes really, really good. But the flavor on this is really, really smooth. That's one thing that I believe if I look at the back of the packaging, they advertise as being a smooth flavor with the smoker and experience in mind. It says, our wraps are produced from hemp containing no tobacco ingredients, resulting in the finest wraps that create a slow-burning, uniquely smooth taste for the purest smoking experience. Our wraps have been crafted with the smoker in mind. Each pack contains 4 full-size hemp wrappers, providing you a smooth, slow burn that allows each puff from the hemp wrap to be full of twisted flavor. Kick back, relax, and enjoy twisted hemp. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I really, really like the the look. If I'm not mistaken, does this not look very similar to like Swishers and their packaging? I've never seen it before in person. I think I've seen it a few times in video, so I don't remember exactly what it looks like, but I'm pretty sure it looks kind of like that. The way this is burning is a little bit darker, but the one thing I'm going to point out is when rolling this, probably the only complaint that I have is that you do have to use an adhesive. At least for me, I did. My go-to is Glue Gar. They're not sponsoring this video at all, but buy it if you don't have it. If you're only intending to use it for Backwoods, get this one that has the dropper style type of thing. Not dropper, this where you just like put upside down and squeeze the bottle. Or I believe they also now have a variation of, and this is the unflavored version. I just don't really think you need to get a flavored one because they're going to be using it for like blunts and stuff that are already flavored. It does have one with like a brush applicator, and I believe there's also a spray version as well, which is interesting. Those are more ideal for hemp wraps. But if you're going to use this for hemp wraps and backwoods and stuff like that in Phillies, go with this style, the OG. I don't remember how much I paid for this, but I've had this for well over a year, dude, and I'm just now under half. Look at that. So, as far as it goes with this hemp wrap, it's burning really, really nice. I can tell this is going to burn slow. Something about the texture. It got a really nice, super soft, excuse me, super flexible, characteristic, if that makes, if for lack of a better phrase. It is definitely got a little bit more forgiveness, a little more give, if you want to kind of pull on the wrap a little bit. Unlike a twist, a high tea leaf, or even a what are these called? The juicy hemp wrap. I blanked out. My bad. Which the juicy ones do have a little bit of stretch in them. But this is just the perfect amount to where you can really get these packed in fat. Because you know, with a good hemp wrap, you want it packed in fat and you want it tight. Just like a girl's pussy. So, this is everything that I just mentioned. You can pack them fat, you can pack it tight. I would say the most you can fit in this with a good consistency, and I say good consistency, I mean like nothing powdery, is about 1.5 grams. And that's, I think, where these really take the cake. And the fact that these are marketed as full width, I'm assuming means that these are not a slim, specific hemp wrap. That being said, I don't know if these are slim necessarily, but high tea leaf, I've never really been able to say I can pack them super fat. This, I definitely can. The way that this is burning, I'm in love with it, dude. I would say that give enough time, if your weed is sticky enough, it'll resonate through this because it's that thin. And I know it's a hemp wrap because, one, it's green. Two, it has like those random like pores and holes within the wrap, very tiny, that you get even with like hemp papers. So that's nice to see. But I think best of all, to be honest with you guys, these might actually be my new favorites. If I could find these in a convenience store or like a smoke shop, I'll probably switch to these over high tea leaf. The flavor presentation is really, really smooth. I think that's one thing that they definitely got right, is the way that the flavor is presented. Really smooth. But not only is the flavor smooth, but it also leaves off a little bit of the aroma that you're tasting as a smell. And I think that's really impressive. Look at the cherry on this, by the way. I'm going to tap the ash off because I don't want it to fall all over the table. But definitely a nice slow burning wrap. It doesn't feel crunchy. Like, I'm letting these sit out for a little bit. Just, this feels the most non-genuine of a hemp wrap feel of the three. The juicy hemp wrap seems to be when I think of like what a hemp wrap should feel like, basically I think of like what a juicy hemp wrap feels like. But this is also another really nice feel in the hand in terms of as far as it goes with like a hemp wrap, which I think is really important. I think that not only should it just like burn smooth and this and that, and you know, it's easy to roll, but it's relatively easy. Nothing too crazy has to be done basically to roll one of these. It's also got to have a nice feel. You know what I'm saying? Because if it feels like it's shitty, cheapy, it's kind of discouraging to smoke. So we're going to put this down. And we're going to light this bad boy up. This is the Juicy Grape Soda Terp Enhanced. So we're going to burn off this bit of excess. Actually, let's use the torch just to get through this a little bit quicker. That's one thing. Other thing that I didn't mention is you don't have to use a torch to light this. I can use a Bic any day of the week, and it'll light perfectly fine, which I think is really, really nice. With most hemp wraps, I would say even high tea leaf included, you kind of have to use a bit of a torch, or at least in the sense you need it to get really hot because it's a bit thicker than a traditional rolling paper. It takes a little bit longer to roll it. To light it. Definitely take your time when lighting any hemp wrap, regardless of what brand, because even the cheapest hemp wraps, if you don't light them properly, you know what I'm saying? If you rush rolling a blunt and all that, and then you rush sparking it, and it doesn't get a good, even, light, it's gonna run, it's gonna burn like shit, and ruin the experience. But keep in mind, I haven't put this out. This is still burning. So I'm doing that intentionally to see if how well this keeps burning, if I'm not constantly taking hits. Out of 10, the flavor on this is like a 7. It's not super duper excessive, but it's not so mild that you don't really taste it. And that's one thing that I think I've said in past reviewing hemp wraps from Juicy J, is they do this really well. They're like backwoods. They can manage to do this in such a way, and I say this, I mean like flavor their wraps in such a way that it's enjoyable for the smoker. It's enough taste that it balances out with the weed if you want to taste it, but if you want to have a flavored taste that's not the weed, because maybe you don't like the taste of your weed or whatever, you taste enough of the wrap that you can still get that flavor as well, which is really, really nice. Now, granted, does that mean that these are the most flavorful? Not necessarily. If I had to compare the amount of flavor between this and the twisted hemp wrap, I would actually say that the twisted hemp wraps have a much more pleasant flavor profile, if that makes sense. One, it's a very different style of flavoring. Blue, raspberry, cherry. I've yet to hear another brand that does that. Typically, you get the standard peach, mango, this and that, maybe banana, watermelon, stuff like that. As far as it goes with like hemp wraps and flavored papers, but now you're getting something completely different. You're getting sweet, which is, I guess, to me, it kind of reminded me of like the Russian cream a little bit. Blue banana, which is blueberry banana, which I'm definitely going to try, but that's going to be last. Plain, which I think most brands that make hemp wraps have at least a plain option. You know, so it's a nice change in terms of the flavoring that they offer with twisted hemp wraps, as opposed to with juicy hemp wraps. They've got a bunch of different flavors, probably the biggest selection of any amongst the competition, the most selection, at least I think. But, and keep in mind, I'm going to try more brands as I can figure them out, as I learn about them. And I kind of want to touch back on this guy. It's burning really, really well. It's burning slow enough that it kept lit. You know, given the same consistency of grind for all three of these. Not the same amount of weed, because I think the twisted blunt definitely packed the most. This is a 1.2. High tea leaf, maybe 1 to 1.2, 1.3 if you get a slightly more fine consistency of grind. I would say the grind consistency with the twisted hemp wraps has to be the most similar, or most comparable, I should say. to backwards, because you can get a much chunkier grind given that it's a wider wrap than you can with like a twisted, with a high tea leaf or a juicy hemp wrap like this guy. So we're gonna let this juicy one sit for a little, and now I'm gonna get to sparking this high tea leaf. I already know exactly what to expect. To be honest with you guys, I feel that the experience smoking the high tea leaf now, after having smoked this twisted hemp wrap or even the juicy, just in comparison is a little bit lesser. I'm not really looking as forward as much after smoking this twisted one. I think the other thing too, that is a bit of a interesting point is the color of the wrap and the texture of the wrap from the twisted hemp wrap. A green wrap that feels the way that this does. You can see at least I can. I don't know if you guys can catch that on camera, but you can see if you look at it close up, at least the little small fibers on the hemp wrap, which you don't get with high tea leaf or the juicy wraps. So, like I said, with the high tea leaf and the juicy wraps, it's a lot more necessary to have a torch lighter. Just, at least for the initial spark, to get it burned properly, you definitely want a torch. Now, if you can get like a high, what's the word? A high output lighter like a Zippo, which has a much bigger flame that typically burns hotter. Then yeah, you can use that with pretty much all of these. I mean, if you're in a pinch, obviously it's not like you can't use like a Bic to light any of these, but the one thing I'm smelling is the smell off of the high tea leaf. I think more than the juicy, but not as much as the twisted hemp wrap. I think that's pretty big to note too. Which, by the way, the juicy hemp wrap is still lit. This guy is still lit, and obviously the high tea leaf one is still lit because I just sparked it. So, where does this twisted hemp wrap sit between the three of these? This actually is my new favorite flavor until I try the blueberry banana. I think that might take the cake right after. But if not, I would still say anything from... I'm actually kind of curious what the plain Jane one tastes like. I don't really know exactly what to expect because it's rare that I'll ever get a plain original anything when it comes to like rolling this, and if it's not a paper. Typically with blunts, I want the flavor from the blunt too. This kind of reminds me, if King Palm were to make a blue raspberry cherry flavored King Palm, I feel like it would taste exactly like this. The way that that bold flavor that you get from this is exactly the kind of flavor you get, or you can expect to get from a King Palm. So I think that's really, really big for me, and that's kind of one big reason why. Not just because these are super nice. I think, like, visually, these just look really dope. Being green, it's kind of like those clear rolling papers. It's just something so unique that when you see it, you kind of just get mesmerized by it. I think that's kind of what's happening. I think eventually I'd kind of get used to it, but I would still, even after that, of kind of just getting used to seeing these so frequently, I would probably still stick with these as my go-to, simply because of the fact that they just have the type of flavors they do. The flavor presentation is very bold, which I really like. It might be a little overpowering for some people, I would expect. If you are the type of person that does from time to time buy the original flavor, like Backwoods, for instance, and then you just go and you're back to like getting a flavor, it's kind of going to be like one of those deals where it might hit you a little bit more. But if you are like myself and every hemp wrap you get has to have a flavor, preferably you like the sweet stuff too, like I do, then these are definitely for you. They are a little trickier to roll. So I mean, if you don't currently have glue gar, you could get away with maybe dipping your finger in some water, like I showed you guys with that Backwoods tutorial, I think it was, where I dipped my finger in the water, and I ran it along the edge of the wrap from the Backwoods. But experience-wise out of this is a solid fucking 10. It burns super fucking smooth, super slow. Like, to show you guys, I don't think this... Yeah, so this juicy hemp wrap is already burnt out. And I can imagine I can say the same, yep, off of the high tea leaf. So this one is the only one of the three that I can obviously say, and you guys seen it for yourself, that has stayed lit throughout the whole video. I have not had to relight this once. Now, typically I would say the same about the high tea leaf, so I actually am kind of surprised about this. This, I do come to expect a little bit more with the juicy wraps because of the fact that something about the way that these are made, these are a slightly thicker wrap, so that is kind of to be expected with a thicker wrap, especially if you don't light it properly. That's why I say it's crucial AF to light your blunts properly. Spend the time with that initial burn in order to make sure the rest of the burn, the rest of the blunt through, especially if you're with your friends. You know, if you're not doing this by yourself, it's even more fucking important, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to look like an idiot. And keep in mind, I'm not rolling these with a crutch. That's weed. That's weed. And that's weed. You guys know with hemp wraps, I typically don't, or blunts in general, I typically don't roll with a crutch unless I feel like I really need to. None of the three of these, I felt that. I could have, but I didn't have to. That's the point. So it's one less thing you got to worry about. Do I recommend these? I would say absolutely yes. I can't wait to review all of these flavors individually. But as far as it goes, just kind of give you a bit of a sneak peek as to what to expect from the other flavors when I review these all. This, as well as the other three, in a separate individual YouTube video review. I think these are going to be absolutely amazing. This is something I would say, especially holidays, holiday season is finally approaching, right? Maybe for Christmas, you guys are going to do like a bake together or some shit, you know, or a smoke sesh with you and the fam. It's like, can you imagine that? Like 10 years from now, I feel like that could be a reality. Like you smoke a blunt with your family for like Christmas instead of handing out gifts. I mean, or actually, well, I'd want both. You know what I'm saying? I'm not wasting a gas just to smoke a fucking dude that I could smoke at home. But, you know, I need that rolling. So, I can definitely see this being one of those things. You bring like 2 or 3 of these to a sesh to, and people are just like, fuck yeah, that's the guy. You know, this will make you the dedicated roller, in my opinion. That's how good I really like these. This is like probably the best fucking hemp wrap I've ever smoked, in my opinion. Not just flavor wise, but just overall. Solid 10. What do I rate the juicy hemp wraps? And I'm going to give this not just this flavor, but all of the terpene enhanced version. And I will compare them obviously to the non-terpene enhanced. The terpene enhanced ones have more flavor. So like out of 10, it's like a 7, maybe 7.5. Normally it's like a 6. You know what I'm saying? Close to a 6.5, maybe some like a grape flavor might be a 7. But like this is a noticeably more flavor packed wrap. Not sure exactly what it is, but my point is it's got more flavor. So if that's what you're looking for, you know, not as much as the twisted hemp wraps. I think those definitely take the cake, as I mentioned earlier, with not just how much flavor, but also the flavor selection in terms of what flavors they offer. Juicy hemp wrap has more options, but I think twisted hemp wrap has better options. So this is that quality over quantity type of situation that I'm dealing with right now, that I think these, if you haven't tried and you have the chance to try at least one of these, I would even go on a whim and say that if you don't normally get plain flavored stuff, like if you would normally not go out of your way and get the plain Jane, just based off of the experience I'm having with the sweet flavor and the blue raspberry cherry flavor of these hemp wraps, I would go out on a whim and vouch my whole channel and the small reputation that I have and say that these are going to be a bustin' ass flavor. And then most likely I would like these blue banana. Interesting. So, that being said, high tea leaf. Where does that sit? Now, considering this guy is still burning, and this is why I'm thoroughly fucking impressed with this pitch. That wrap is still burning. I'm going to respark the high tea leaf, and the fact that I can take like a half a second glance at this and tell exactly what is, like which is a high tea leaf, is because it looks like lemon. It's got that almost wood-like texture and look. I'm pretty sure these are hemp, right? Made from hemp, high quality herbal leaves and unique nano design. So these are made in Brazil. That's another thing I actually probably should mention, where these are made. Made in the Dominican Republic. And for the juicy hemp wraps, these are made in Mexico. So that's pretty interesting. Where are these made again? Made in Brazil. All except the high tea leaf are made in a Hispanic-speaking country, which is interesting. But I mean, the rolling papers are made in Spain. So, not trying to bash anybody. Just saying. Honestly, I would kind of look at these as an afterthought. I went into this, in the beginning of this video, these were my go-to selection, but I'm ending this off on a completely different note. Twisted hemp wrap is my new go-to. I like learning new things. I like this type of stuff when it happens. But if you guys disagree or agree with me about anything that I've talked about, let us know down below in the comments. I want to talk with you guys, man. You guys have been fucking amazing. Thank you guys for everything you guys have been doing. Like I said, this is going to be a lengthier video, so if you guys were smoking with me this whole time, because that's another thing. I like to think when you guys watch my videos, you guys are smoking along with me, and it's not just people who are watching reviews of products that I've done, aside from like rolling paper reviews and hemp wrap reviews and blunt reviews and this. You know, like I'm talking like when people are watching my review of the rolling trays, grinders, storage options like the Herb Guard bag, the Herb Guard jar. You know what I'm saying? That you guys are smoking with me even within those videos. I think I do like the flavor on these. It is, at least with the grape. The grape is my favorite. I think the mango is good too, but it's not as bold. I think the only flavor that I didn't even know was actually a flavor, I've never seen it other than Amazon. I think it's called Double Apple. I might pick up a couple of packs of those, because I know I got a buddy of mine that doesn't give a fuck. As long as you can roll weed in it, he'll smoke it. He smokes those rose petal cone, pre-rolled rose petal cones, and packs it with weed. I personally just because you can doesn't mean you should. You know what I'm saying? I personally don't think there's enough research done into this type of stuff with rose petals as a paper alternative to say that it's safe to do that. So, like I said though, if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. And until next time, I am super fucking blitzed right now. But thank you. Love you guys.